I'm glad nobody is pretending like that song is a good song. But anyway,
Everybody likes the video.
I still haven't seen the video, but I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to your weekly episodic podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dare to Disagree, the podcast where we know what the fuck we're talking about.
You can't spell this shit
Can't
again.
use it. It's trademarked.
I'm gonna find something new, but until then, I'm just gonna have to incur wrath for one more week. I'm working on some taglines, but nothing else. I'm your stealing host out of California, Jonathan Esther.
This is Alone in the Dark, not in Ferguson.
Co-conscious, Maryland.
Really happy about that.
And we lost one of our main co-hosts, Mr.
Co-host.
The Slow Chemical. He'll be back though. He'll be back real soon, folks. Don't worry about that.
He took this shit over, man. I don't think he's a co-host no more. That man's a partner.
Man,
This is technically his show. I
technically,
just claim him a co-host.
technically his show. His house. You just sleeping in it.
So anyway, we have a couple of topics we're gonna run through. We're running a little late today because of technical difficulties, but we got a couple topics we're gonna run through.
More like,
Slow Chemical had a topic he wanted to get into, and we're gonna get into Ferguson. We're definitely gonna get into Ferguson heavy, but if we get into Ferguson right now, we're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna take over the whole show because everybody has some pretty strong opinions about Ferguson. So I want to start with something a little more lighthearted first, something a little more relaxing, and I have a question for you guys. One of the most annoying things I deal with on a weekly basis is people trying to be real because I'm black.
Okay.
It's a little annoying. It's a little and white people watching the show, you might not understand what that means, but all the black people watching the show absolutely understand what that means. And this only happens between white and black people. There's this kind of weird line where white people want to be as honest as they can be without being pretentious to black people. So they try to be real. That's when they start saying words like, brother and homie and giving you dap a little more than they ever do for some reason. It's weird. Now, it doesn't just stop there. That's just the white and black version. But there are a lot of versions of this, and there are a lot of people who feel like they need to be real all the time. Because they feel like that's... How can I properly word it? It's the right thing to do at any time. They have to be honest to themselves. So the white people are doing that because they want to be honest to themselves while relating to black people. But everybody else does it without understanding that we got customs and courtesies that apply to all of these situations just fine. Like, if I run into a person on the street telling me, hi, how are you doing, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to add a homie. You don't have to add a brother. You could just end it right there. We don't know each other. I'll understand exactly what you're doing.
Right.
The flip side of that same conversation, if we're on the street, you don't have to be, and this one goes more to like Hispanics, blacks, and other people, you don't have to be over the top real, You don't have to, like, you don't walk up to a complete stranger and they go like, how are you doing today? Like, I'm fine, but your haircut is horrible, We have plenty of etiquette, but motherfuckers feel like the world is getting so fake, they have to either overcompensate by being too real or undercompensate by pretending they're real, by clearly changing their speech in a way they're not comfortable with just to make you comfortable. Like, I don't understand why people can't just be comfortable.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm at fault for changing my speech around people sometimes, but I've never done it to the detriment of who I am. Like, if I change my speech around people that don't know me will sometimes quickly go, well, that's not how you normally talk. And I go, no, that's not how I normally talk around you. but I don't normally talk around other people all the time. I was just curious personally to see if Alone in the Dark had ever experienced this. Has a black person ever walked up to you and talked different? Or has another white person talked differently to you? Or been too real?
Well, I mean, first I'd like to say that I have never had a problem lying to black people. You know, that's never that's never even crossed my mind as an issue.
A
You
little
know,
rude. But
uh,
whatever.
so so I don't have that problem. But I mean, me and you've talked about it before because you, for instance, and it's happened for a number of people, do talk more white around white people.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
but
it never changes how I am. Like I'll talk white to accommodate for the white person without pretending. Like I'm comfortable talking white.
Right.
It's a natural part of how I can talk.
yeah,
Okay, well, can we describe talking white? This is like, like,
Well,
describe that,
Mike,
please.
I feel like if we're gonna go into descriptions about talking white, we're gonna have to be pretty detailed. Talking white is a situation where you pretty much emphasize and break down almost everything you say to a very clean and concise level so nobody has any problems. And you try to make everything as neutral as possible, and your tone is almost like a school teacher in a daytime TV program. Whereas I could just be out here just chilling and like talking to these niggas right here and just be like, if I need to be real, I'm gonna be real with these niggas. I ain't gotta fake it. It's just
Yeah, I'm saying, like, but why does it have to be like a black, like talking black and talking, white? I'm saying,
if
why
I
why
go
can't
into a job interview, I'm
here's
not gonna be talking.
but you're talking proper, not really, quote,
Yeah, yeah,
quote, white
but
or black.
but
You're
let's be on the
talking,
real.
you're talking just like a human being.
But is talking proper not talking white kind of in this culture?
I mean, I don't really, I never like to use that. Like, people be like, are you gonna put in your white man voice or something like that? I'm like, well, I'm gonna, talk proper, talk, how can I'm not gonna use slang, but I never use really like, talking black nor talking white. You know what I'm saying?
and I think that's kind of because it is kind of an issue. The problem I have, not really I have, but a problem I see is talking black, as you say, is often talking fucking ridiculous. Okay, like using words, and it really drives me crazy. And Frank does this a lot when they spell words wrong on Facebook.
Or
Just
text
pronounce
messages.
how
Yeah.
they wrongly pronounce that shit on fucking, when they're actually speaking. If you're speaking incorrectly, you know what I mean, like grammatically incorrect, it makes you seem like a fucking idiot. Which is kind of interesting because a lot of black people have a lot better vocabulary.
Yeah, I
than-
was just about to tell you grammatically incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but like you were like a lot of black people have better vocab. Yeah, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of an issue, and it's kind of a hamper. I mean, doing something silly like kicking boxes around a warehouse, I don't care how you talk. If you're going for a serious job, if you're going to be an engineer at my company, and you
Or
come
like fly the
from
plane.
what you gonna be doing,
Okay.
maybe I'll have a fucking problem with letting you control my fucking multi-million-dollar equipment. You know what I'm saying? Even
Right.
though it's not that you're any dumber than your fucking next person over, it's just you're talking like you are.
Like a jackass.
Exactly. So you're almost putting on a show to seem more fucking ignorant than the person next to you. Thus, you don't get as good as a job as that person next to you. I think it's almost like a fucking self-made hindrance for getting good fucking careers.
Motherfucker.
See, that's ignorant right there. The man's making a point.
Yeah, I mean, okay, okay. I see what you're saying, but continue with your point, though. The point you're trying.
My point. I mean, that's just.
I
My,
mean, that's just, well,
I don't care how people talk, especially on their own free time. It's just everybody needs to learn how to turn that shit up. Like I cuss a lot, obviously on this show. I got in trouble by my grandma a couple days ago because I cuss a lot on this fucking show. And in person, I usually cuss a lot, but I'm able to turn that shit off when I'm at work. Okay,
I'll
every
tell
now
people-
and then some shit will slip through, but I'm usually pretty fucking good at not doing that shit there.
I'll tell people in a heartbeat, nobody cusses around my moms, and really, we don't cuss around each other's moms. Except when Alone in the Dark met my mother, he was cuss happy, and my mother was cool with it. He does have a way of cussing that is really weird. Like, he cusses, but it doesn't sound offensive. It's the weirdest thing. It's like adjectives. Like, it's like someone who puts one too many chilies. Like, it's not offensive to you, but you're just like, damn, he uses a lot of chilies in his speech.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just kind of things you have to be. Because I've had a lot of people come for an interview still fucking talking like they're back with their boys, and it does. Okay, I got to take this person. I got to go to this 45, 50-year-old guy and say, hey, here's your new employee. How impressed do you think he's going to be? You know
not
what I
really
mean?
impressed at all.
Like when I go and give you a drug test, you say, you want me to put my slop on this? No, bitch. I want you to put your saliva on there, okay? So that's my fucking problem. You know what I mean? That's the only issue I have with not being able to change the speech when you're going into something serious. You know what I mean?
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
agree.
Let's play.
But
Okay, I'm trying to get. Well, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was gonna say, but okay, never mind. 'Cause we were just talking about that for a little bit until Slow Chemical got been going. With the, like,
Look here, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, motherfucker, I heard you steal my shit. That's fucking gimmick infringement. I'm in protest. I won't be on the fucking show until you stop stealing my shit.
Fair enough. Jesus Christ. Last week.
Oh, this is so cool. This is like a web series.
Yeah.
It's on your phone.
Say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Hey, how you?
Jesus
You have to think about it?
So it turns out that our co-host is dumping us for chicks.
you know, I kept my mouth shut this time.
Homies. Yeah, you sure the hell did. This is not
I'm
our
learning.
from last time, that's for sure.
So he had a fucking topic. Now we just asked out.
No, we're not asked out, actually. He did have a topic, and I guess it's my fault he lost the topic, but we're not asked out because we're I guess, yeah, we got plenty of time for this Ferguson thing. All right,
Okay.
let's get into Ferguson, right?
Is that white boy gonna show up, man?
Oh yeah. I'm working on it right now. We got a special guest for the Ferguson conversation. We'll get into him in a bit, but in the meanwhile, I am really curious to hear what our resident potential soon-to-be police officer has to say about that whole thing.
About the whole Ferguson thing?
Yeah.
Right now? Or do you like want to like
No. I've been curious about. I've been waiting all week for the show to hear what you had to say about Ferguson, because I know what Alone in the Dark is gonna say. I know what I'm gonna say, but you have been curious for a minute. I was like, how are you gonna approach this? Because I mean, it's kind of a shock to some people, but you're black, and you're also very. I mean, I've known you since you were what? Jesus Christ, like 10?
But probably before 10, man.
Before 10, and even back then when I first met you, you were the weirdest kid. We were in one of the ghettoest neighborhoods, and you were like, I want to be a cop.
Right.
At like 9, 8, in neighborhoods where cops were nothing but villains. So I was very curious how you're going to approach this whole Ferguson thing.
All right. Here's how I'm probably going to approach it, right? And hold on, I should probably take this off to get a little serious. But what the fuck? How do you exit out of this shit? All right. Here's how I'm approaching it. What the police officer? Okay, yeah, thank you. What the police officer did to, Mike Brown is absolutely uncalled for. We talked about last week that's uncalled for. The reason. Now, the riots that are going on right now. Obviously, when you live in a neighborhood like that, predominantly black, and something like this happens, tensions rise, because in communities like Ferguson, the police and the community don't have a great relationship already to start off. And now this happened, this kid, was he in college or graduating college or going to college? I don't know, something like that. either way, it's still a white cop killing a black kid, and tensions rise. Now, when the riots broke out, here's the problem that I have with that. Being a cop. I mean, not being a cop, but future cop. So, I have to be the kind of devil advocate here. I'm not saying that what they did is absolutely right, but here's what I'm saying. When you have peaceful protests, right? You have people out there who are actually protesting peacefully. Protesting, getting the picket signs, standing up for what they believe in. But then you have some fucking niggas who are just, I'm just being honest, who are just there just because, like, listen, we fucking hate the police. This is a time for us to fucking, cause harm to the police department. Now, some people are using it actually for alleyway to be like, this shit has to fucking stop. Some people are just being niggas with it and just fucking looting and just trying to do harm to the police officer. When you have a peaceful protest, and these police officers are, yes, dressed in SWAT gear, which probably is not fucking necessary, but these guys are dressed in SWAT gear, and they're dressing up and shit like that, and we have a peaceful protest. Apparently, according to the media, which you can't trust the media all the time, but it was peaceful until people start throwing shit at the police department, at the police officers. Start throwing rocks and all this different type of shit at the police officer. At that point, it's pretty much like, how in the fuck am I gonna get home without any bodily harm to me? Once you put a police officer in the corner, it's unfortunate. They should probably be trained a little better than this, but it's just one of those things. And going through the process, they kind of try to instill that in you now, even going through the process. Like, listen, the main goal, and they say it all the time, the main goal is to fucking get home to your loved ones at the end of your shift. Now, when people start throwing stuff, is it going to fucking kill them? No, it's not going to fucking kill them. But, that's just the way they look at it, and I guess that gives them a fucking reason to do what they did. I can see fucking Alone in the Dark just waiting to tear into my ass right now.
Oh, he will. But I want to make a quick note before, because Alone in the Dark is going to go on a tirade.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a quick note before.
And by the way, it's just something that I'm putting out there. I'm not saying what the police are doing in Ferguson is right. It's absolutely disgusting what they're doing in Ferguson. But, being a devil's advocate for the police here, I could kind of, this is a taste, understand. Would I be with it? Absolutely not. And the fact that, martial law and people have to be in by a certain curfew and shit like that is fucking ridiculous. And another thing here too that everybody has to realize, that Ferguson only has 3 black police officers.
Hey,
You said what?
They had 4, but that got quit.
Yeah.
Well, and he quit for obvious reasons. I know if I was a cop, I would probably quit too. Like, okay, this just seems like it's about whites versus blacks here now. And you have a fucking state trooper, the head state trooper of Ferguson, walking with I think it's a Ferguson, but he's a head state trooper somewhere. You have him walking with the black people, walking with these communities, actually policing. But since he's doing that, apparently that they're not telling him certain shit that they're trying to do, like the plans and strategies that they want to do to control the situation. They're not telling him.
Well,
so
you had to
understand that too. Like, if it was here in Baltimore, would that happen with the martial law and shit that's going on now? Probably not, because you have more black people as cops here. But when you have 3 fucking black police officers, you're gonna get shit like this, especially in a predominantly black community like it is now.
Well, here's ultimately the problem with what you just.
I got a quick. Well, what's the in Baltimore? What do you guys think the breakdown is for the races of your police officers?
It's pretty even. I wouldn't be surprised if it's predominantly black. I'll be honest with you.
Well, for police officers here in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Here in Baltimore, I believe it's it's close. It's more whites than blacks, but not by a big margin.
Yeah, it's not, because I know I've seen a ton of black cops out there.
Not by a big margin. All the black cops who work for the Baltimore City Police Department actually grew up in Baltimore City.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Mostly all the Caucasian police officers come from Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. So, it's pretty even. Maybe like it's pretty even.
But I was
I'm
gonna
trying-
say
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna
man.
say,
I'm
the
trying
problem.
to track down some.
No, you're good. You're good. I was gonna say the problem with what Co-Conscience just said is ultimately you're right. You're right in a lot of ways, but because of the way the cops in Ferguson started handling this whole thing from jump,
Yeah.
like they started off with fuckery. What was it like? What was that on the last week tonight? They asked him, "Hey, how many times was the kid shot?" And he was like, "Not very many more than one," or something along those lines. Or that was I don't know.
But not much more than that.
Not exactly. Not much more than that. Like, whoa, are you trying to duck a question about shots? It's a straight. How many times did the kid get shot? If you're telling me that already, you're trying to cover some shit up. You're already trying to cover some shit up. And it's like once you start with fuckery like that, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm sure the police in Ferguson's are the ones saying they threw the rocks first. But these are the same guys who, when they finally released the name of the cop, released it with a video of the guy who got shot stealing. And it's kind of like, that ain't what anybody, that's not what was supposed to happen. They asked you simply for the name of the cop.
And it took them a while.
It was a blatant attempt to undermine the kid who died, to show, hey, he wasn't that good. So the ultimate argument would be like, wait, are you saying he deserved to die? Are you saying we should rejoice at his death? Are you saying something wasn't fucked up? So when you start in that direction, you start going into the way of people in Ferguson going, well, they threw rocks first. Like, who says?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be listening to a cop who has already ducked two questions that are pretty major.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's a good point, because they, at one point in time, and a lot of police departments have a terrible job doing this. And if I wish Calhoun was on the show so he could inform me too. A lot of times when black people get shot here in Baltimore, or when really anybody gets shot here in Baltimore by a police officer, they take a while. Sometimes the family never knows why their son was shot, the reason they was shot, and how he died and shit like that. Like they will withhold that information for some reason. And that's a good point. They asked like, how was my son shot? How was he shot? How many times was he shot? And like I said, when you have fuckery like that, and, keep going, you're gonna have some people that are gonna just easily get fucking pissed. And it just tensions rise, and shit like this happens, blows up. Now, I'm not defending them, but I'm also saying that us as African American males, or as African American in general, when we do protests like this, it's sometimes that you're just gonna have some motherfucker who just wants to start some shit, who's just there not really for the fucking cause, who's just there because I want to start some fucking mischief. So it becomes that. It becomes that sometimes. Like that the reason the riot have happened anyway? Probably. But then again, you have some motherfucking niggas who would just wants to do bodily harm to anybody. And
no argument there. No argument there.
I'm not defending the police department because what they're doing right now is the fuckery. But at the same time, sometimes as African Americans, we got to stand back and look at ourselves first.
You hear that, Alone in the Dark? You need to stand back and look at yourself, African American.
My thing with, and here, my opinion on the actual shooting, okay? I don't know what happened, so I'm not going to throw out, hey, fuck that cop or fuck that kid, okay?
Right.
Looking at it, and I hate calling him a kid considering the dude was quite a bit bigger than I am. Okay? Yeah, he was what? He was 18, right? That's all he was?
Sure was.
Sounds like he's a fucking man to me. But in all, looking at the kid's history, looking at what he did just prior to this whole incident, it isn't too much of a reach for me to believe that he fucking charged that cop. Okay? And people are saying, well, he was shot in his forearm. That would be he would have to have his arms up. Once the first fucking bullet flies, you have no idea where that shit's gonna lie. That kid could be ducking, weaving. He could be falling over because he's hurt.
Right.
Where he was shot doesn't prove that his hands were up. It doesn't matter. He's not just going to stand there with his hands up and get shot 6 times. One, oh no, cop, I'm still surrendering. Oh,
right.
no, I'm still being shot. No, hold on. No, he's gonna be jerking all the fuck around place. So I'm not gonna say, hey, that fucking cop was totally wrong, or hey, that kid was totally wrong, because I don't fucking know. But after that point, the way the police department reacted showed that there is serious fucking issues with how they are trained and the culture that they have.
Yes.
They are not respecting the citizens of the city. They're going on a full-fledged attack on them. They're sitting there shit-talking the citizens on tape. They're attacking them. They're throwing fucking tear gas in people's yards. They're proving after the fact that there's probably, that whole video they showed, hey, look how bad this fucking kid was. Right? Look at this motherfucker right here. Well, now, yeah, that video made that kid look bad. Now everything after the fact is making you look bad, cops.
Right.
See what the fuck you did before.
And like I said, and like John Fester said, they do, like I said, they instill that it's a us versus them type mentality that some people really go for. Like, hey, mother, it's us and my brothers are police officers versus you guys. When it shouldn't be like that. Like, at the end of the day, we're all American citizens. You have more authority than us. You understand that. But
what was the thing they showed in that video? That cop going, "Come on, bring it on, you fucking animals!" And you're like, "Whoa, dude! These are people you should be protecting, right?"
Yeah, these are American citizens.
Yeah,
so,
these are people. I always feel like that's kind of the biggest problem with having faceless organizations, like riot gear and stuff like that. The second you take away people's faces, what was that called? The Stanford prison experiment? Like, the second someone gets authority, it's already dangerous. You take away faces, that's like the internet, man. You give room for anybody for any kind of fuckery, and everybody's susceptible to that shit.
Here's some more issues, too, is, speaking of that, those cops started going out, and journalists started noticing, and citizens, that they took off their name tapes and their badges.
Oh, yeah.
So you couldn't see what their names was, you couldn't see their badge number, going around fucking beating people's ass. There's no reason for them to do that besides trying to get away with some shit.
Yeah.
Oh, there's police cameras there, I'm worried about what they're going to see. Hopefully, if I take off my name tape, they're going to have a harder time identifying me.
Right.
And that's happened before. I'm trying to place it, but it happened before in our history during a fucking serious fucking problem when the police were doing some wrong shit. They took off their name tapes. It's almost kind of like a throwback to that. Hey, we're fucking up, but you guys can't do shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, this is another top-down issue. Like, if this is really a problem, if these cops are doing all this shit, maybe Obama should be sending some people over there to, hey, okay, yeah, this is a big fucking deal. People are being shot. I'm going to send some people over to make sure that those police officers are doing a good job. But all in all, he's pretty much ignoring this shit, too.
Sure the fuck is.
Kind of what I've been talking about with freaking Calhoun of how this is a top-down problem. He has this belief that, hey, if we get some fucking liberals in there, they're going to give a shit. Here he is, a fucking Democrat. Here he is, black. Still not giving a shit about these people's rights being trashed.
Right.
That's because once you get so high, and that's another thing. A friend of mine ended up looking up the freaking demographics, by the way. Baltimore PD is 43% black. The Baltimore is 60-something%. So that's still that's pretty close.
That's pretty close. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but another issue, and you guys could tell me if you've seen this, but I've seen it a number of times that even black police officers will almost have a fun time fucking with black people.
Yeah,
almost kind of like, let me prove to these white people here that I'm not one of them. I'm fucking one of you guys. I'm fucking blue. I'm gonna go fuck these people up.
And that's usually people who go the hardest on black people. On black people are usually black police officers, because I'm not sure if they try. It's like we talked about before, and it's called at the police officers it's called a thin blue line. And that's basically kind of like a fucking gang thing, where it's like you don't cross that thin blue line. It's like I said, it had mentality is us versus them, and you would have a lot of cops that would go harder on black people than a white cop would, because like you said, listen, I'm one of you guys. Can't see the way I'm beating the shit out of this black kid right now. Yeah. I mean, but in the back of their mind, though, they gotta be thinking like, what the fuck am I doing? I grew up in this fucking community. The same community I'm beating this kid at,
It's
I
kind
grew
of
up in this fucking community.
the Marine Corps too, because what do they call black people in the Marine Corps? Dark green Marines.
Mm-hmm.
You're not black anymore. You're not fucking whatever. Everybody's green, right? So they joke, call them dark green. It's kind of the same thing, I think, in the police departments. That yeah, you're black, but you're not really. It's not like this person's there going to be standing up making sure that freaking black people aren't being harassed. It's almost like they're worse at it.
Yeah.
They have more to prove.
Now,
because sometimes these post officers fear for their jobs because, believe it or not, when some post officers cross that blue line, quote unquote blue line, like as in they tell on the officer when the officer's dead ass wrong, and they go to the commander, and then the commander's like, listen, what the fuck happened? They tell him, listen, he beat the fuck out that kid. Sometimes these officers lose their fucking job. One, because nobody in the department really likes to work with them after that, because they're considered a snitch. And and then after that, it just like it goes to fucking torment to their family. And like I said, there's a police officer here who told on one police officer who did wrong, and he came outside to a fucking dead rat on his fucking car. They cut it open and like splattered the blood and shit all over his fucking car. So if you snitch, quote unquote snitch, and cross that thin blue line, you're probably gonna be tormented, and either you quit or they end up firing you because nobody wants to work. You're considered a problem after that.
I was just reading a story. Some dude who was with the NYPD, right? He started throwing a fit about them. They had quotas with how many arrests they should have, and all this bullshit, right? Like all these quotas that's illegal. You're not supposed to be having quotas as a police department. The NYPD denied having it, and they were purposely targeting people. They were arresting people for no reason to meet quotas. They were doing fake stop and frisk where they were just make it up. Hey, I frisked 10 people today, even though they didn't do it. They were just reporting it so that they still needed the big budget. They needed the freaking hard equipment, shit like that, right? The NYPD came after his ass, ended up kicking him out of, put him like on a desk job, started telling everybody that he was crazy. He got, paranoid as fuck, right? That's pretty funny. He heard that they were coming to his house, right? Like, I think his dad worked for the NYPD, and he set up, like, 2 fucking recorders, and they burst into his house, told him that they were arresting him, told him he should have been quit talking that shit, just harassing him, ended up grabbing him and taking him to a mental health place where he was held against his will for 6 days. Those cops found one of those recorders, destroyed it, but luckily he had the other one going, and now he's suing the NYPD for like $50 million or some shit.
I remember that. I watched the video too. It was gnarly.
Yeah, it's kind of a good point. People are saying, no, that doesn't really happen. Here's proof positive. This guy managed to get proof. Otherwise, everybody blowing him off is just some crazy fucking nut. Like, he had recordings of them with the quotas. He had recordings that he was giving hard evidence. And they straight up attacked him for trying to fucking police his own. You know what I mean?
Right. Police his own and keeping everybody in fucking line because there's a lot of cops out there who just, and some people can't handle, you get that fucking badge and the gun and that authority over people, and some people just don't know how to fucking handle it. Me personally, I talk a lot of shit on the fucking show, but some of the shit that I see, I can never fucking do because I'm thinking to myself, listen, I'm 20 years old, about to turn 21 next month. Some of this shit, like, listen, some of the shit that happens to young black males in the city, like, that shit could have easily been me. Not that fucking long ago, before, I got the badge and shit like that, if I get the badge. That shit could have easily been me. Yeah. So, I don't know, man, it's fucking crazy. I wouldn't really know how to combat, having these type of cops in there, but it's just like, when people get that power, they want to overdo it, and with the thin blue line and shit like that, it's like Slow Chemical said a while ago, police departments at some point in time like its own fucking gang. You don't drop downs on your own boys. Basically the way it is. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate though.
I'll be honest with you guys. I see both sides of the fence because here's the point. We're in agreement. I know, especially me and Cold Conscience, we know cops. We know good cops. Yeah. We know a couple of good cops that are doing fine jobs. I'm sure Alone in the Dark can testify to that. And anybody who's ever worked a job can testify to the group mentality. Hell, if you work at McDonald's, I'm sure every once in a while some dude walks in there who's kind of an asshole, and you guys band together to spit in his burger or dip your balls in his soda. I don't fucking know what McDonald's does, but I'm sure they fuck with people hardcore somehow. I'm sure there's like every
they fuck
job.
up your order, that's what they do.
Yeah, every job has a coda or a code that they follow if they're fucked with. Their own little way to get back at the people who are fucking with them. But there is a difference. I can even understand the thin blue line. Most people wouldn't defend the thin blue line, but I get it. I understand the mentality of, because in all honesty, when you're out there, I mean, granted, I admire people who are brave enough to police their own, because that shit ain't easy. It ain't easy to look at someone you like or a friend and tell them you're fucking up to their face and tell them, if you keep fucking up, I'm going to have to, take this higher for the good of the whole group.
Right.
So it's a hard thing to do. So people who do that should be admired. And unfortunately, that's how the world works. If you snitch, you're looked at as a weak link. But the thing is, ultimately, in the way, just the way, what? I'm just blown away by the way these Ferguson cops it's just blatant fuckery, man. I've never seen fuckery on this extent. I mean, you hear about fuckery like this in the racist South. That's where you hear about this kind of fuckery. But I had never just imagined
it's
blatant. It's
Rodney King riots.
Yeah, but this is, even then, it's so cartoonishly over the top.
Yeah. What's she going to do?
I don't know, but it's so cartoonishly over the top, man. Like a police chief who's avoiding questions on live TV as if people are dumb. A police chief that releases the name of the cop who did the shooting with some undercover slick video to try to undermine the person that died, as if we're dumb. A city mayor who is so out of touch with his people that literally all the news has to do is superimpose what he says with everything else black people on the street said to make him look stupid. I haven't seen this level of fuck up since that Canadian mayor was smoking crack and talking about, I wouldn't eat a woman's pussy because I got plenty to eat at home while on national TV. That kind of shit is just...
In his defense, though, nobody died.
True. Here's the funny part, man. People don't know this. Well, anybody who follows politics kind of know this. After that whole incident, his fucking popularity shot up like 12%.
Yeah.
Because he was a cool crackhead. Yeah, as far as crackheads go, man, he was a functional crackhead who spoke real shit. Going back to that real thing.
Here's my issue with the Ferguson, and it's kind of a thing I've had, a motto I've lived by for at least a number of years, and it's always done me true. You will always see a real person, the real person, when they're under stress. You put somebody under a whole lot of stress, you're going to see what they really are. That person you really are. It's going to be nasty, it's going to be fucking unclean, but that'll be the real motherfucker right there. That's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing Ferguson PD, how they want to act all the fucking time. We're seeing how they really feel, how they really want to fucking be, and it's fucking horrifying.
And it's usually in these small counties where these cops do that, because I'm pretty sure in Ferguson there's probably not a lot of fucking action going on.
Yeah.
As they want it to be. So now they get fucking action. People have that military mentality, and it's just like, fuck yeah, it's fucking cool. I get to whoop people's asses and shit like that.
What they show that Ferguson MCAT? Is that what that shit was called?
Okay.
Them motherfuckers were driving through that town with an anti-mine tank.
Yeah.
It's just what the fuck for? What the fuck for?
You know how long they probably went to dust that shit off?
Oh, I bet. But then you look at that shit and you're like, man, there's Detroit right there going through a hell of shit. There's Chicago, literally called Chirac, with no irony, and actually sticking up to the logo, and Ferguson is the one with the freaking anti-mind tank.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It just comes at it's not really a thing where it's like all black people should be upset. We probably should be upset, but any really human being should be fucking upset about this. I mean, I just see any reason why I should be upset about it.
Here's a good point a viewer of ours brought up, though. People are pissed off about this whole situation with this kid, right? Now, kid was obviously a criminal. We don't know what the fuck he ended up doing to get shot. He may have been innocent. He may have been charging a fucking cop. But he's one kid dying, causing a whole bunch of riots, right? Looting, shit like that. How many black men die every fucking day by other black men that don't even fucking barely make the second page of the news?
I bet.
Bother fucking anybody. You know, this is actually a point I brought up in a completely different race. Muslims. I have a bunch, obviously with the fucking wife, I got a bunch of Muslims on my Facebook page, right? And a lot of them are rightfully pretty pissed off about the whole fucking Palestine, Gaza Strip, all that shit, right?
Right.
Rightfully, you know, posting, this is terrible, these kidlings died here, these motherfuckers shot missiles at this place. Freaking the fuck out about this shit, right? But you know what I don't see from any of them? Any panic about ISIS over there butchering Iraqis by the fucking thousands.
Mm-hmm.
When it's Muslims killing Muslims, it don't seem like nobody seems to fucking care. Once the Jews start capping a couple motherfuckers and we're making national news, people are, you know, putting that shit as their cover photo, shit like that, you know what I mean?
But you could flip that script and say when whites are killing whites, same shit.
How
often do you see that shit?
Well, how often does it happen? I wonder what I don't know what the numbers are.
But here's the thing, and that's what I think people would be surprised with. Whites kill whites all the motherfucking time too. That shit ain't new. Do you know how many divorcee housewives poison their husbands? That's not usually a fucking black or a Muslim thing. That's a white thing.
It's not nearly the issue. How many black men die compared to white men?
A lot more. A lot more.
A lot more. I mean, as we speak, and it's a sad fucking, you know, irony or a sad joke. As we speak right now, it's probably somebody in Baltimore, a black kid in Baltimore being killed right now. It's unfortunate.
I mean, fuck, Chicago. I mean, if anybody isn't following the insanity that is Chicago right now, you're having a sweet life. And Chicago right now is just
that shit is like a fucking. That shit is like fucking NFL season. Like they keep stats on that shit. Like it's fucking like bad or some shit like that.
Like I know at least 3 people who normally live in Chicago that live in San Diego now, and them motherfuckers love Chicago to their bones, but they ain't going back. They're staying the fuck out of there for good reason. But you know, I'm trying to figure out what was the point of his comment. Was the point that the media is only paying attention to this because it's a white cop shooting a black guy thing?
I don't care about. What I'm wondering is the people that are panicking. Like we read that thing a whole of what was that school? The school the kids are getting fucking butchered by the fucking dozens. Remember?
The one in Chicago?
Yeah. Harper.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are people's kids being killed, and there is nobody breaking into a Payless shoe store there.
No.
I mean, if it was my kid, I would be one pissed motherfucker. If it was my little girl just got fucking shot by some, I would be trying to ride in the streets too, but nobody gives a shit.
Nobody does it.
You know, these are innocent kids. Even if they're doing something wrong, they're still kids. They probably don't know what the fuck they're doing. We're freaking out over this fucking 18-year-old robbing the store and getting shot by a cop. It just seems like we only have enough fucking outrage for certain fucking things, you know what I mean?
And like I said, and this is where us as a fucking race have to stand back and evaluate ourselves, because, you know, when a white guy kills a black person, we're all up in arms about it. Well, we're all up, one thing I said on Instagram, I was like, everybody is, you know, really up in arms about this Ferguson thing, you know, hashtag, and that's great that everybody can see what the hell is going on. But let's see if you care in a fucking week or so, when, you know, the media doesn't cover anymore, it starts to fade away. Doesn't matter to you, no fucking. It doesn't fucking matter to you anymore. Let's see if you care about it, you know, because some people do it it's crazy to say this, but some people do, you know, to pray for Ferguson and shit like that because it's a fucking trend. You know, people just want the fucking likes off it.
All right.
I'm trying to get numbers on this shit, man.
I'll say.
Trying to see how many.
I'll say this. I get you guys' point, but I think the issue in Ferguson is not the white cop. Hold on, you guys are gonna have to take over. There's some noise over here.
Here you go. Okay. Here's a good counter argument I see to my point. Okay, it's not so much only because this kid died that these people are flipping the fuck out. Okay, it's because they've been being harassed by their police departments for fucking years leading up to this. They've been treated like shit. They've been fucking falsely fucking stopped. They've been harassed. They've been talked shit to. Shit has happened to them and nothing's coming. Fucking cops bust their ass and the cop doesn't even get punished. You know what I mean? The cops beat the shit out of them. They get blood on their uniforms. They have to pay the dry cleaning bill.
Yeah, that was ridiculous when I saw that. Holy crap.
Now a kid dies. Now it hits national attention. That wasn't the fucking only driver. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Finally, these fuckers have had enough. Fuck it. If I'm going to be treated like a criminal, I'm going to fucking be a criminal. Let's go get me some new fucking Nikes. Maybe that's the answer to that.
No. It's a fair point because I was gonna say it's not the fact it's a white cop killing a black person that made it a big deal. It's just the way those Ferguson cops look. I mean, I understand that the media, when you're in a position of power, dealing with the media is a very fine dance. But that's why you hire a PR department, you know.
Yeah.
And even then, usually if you're halfway genuine, most people can side with you. But the way them motherfuckers came off looking, it was just atrocious on all levels. There was no positives.
Here's what I've always been taught, including in the military, but also in freaking other jobs. Okay, jobs where I was politically motivated, but they didn't want me talking politically. You're respectful to the press. You're freaking kind to them. You direct them to the fucking nearest manager or the fucking PR team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sit and fucking chat it up with them, okay? But you're nice to them, you're kind to them, you're fucking yes sir, ma'am, all that shit, and move them on their way. You don't sit there threatening to bust their fucking head open. You don't sit there and unlawfully detain them and then try and get them to leave your fucking city when you have no right. It's their public place. They're paying taxes. They own that land. Leave them the fuck alone. And this is kind of a point of like a lot of people are throwing out, well, these cops, they have to protect themselves, they have to go home. Number one, you chose that fucking job, okay? You chose it. It's a dangerous profession. Not really, though. Being a garbage man is more fucking likely to get you killed.
Being an ambulance driver is more likely to get you killed in some instances.
Yeah, I'll fucking bet. But it's still an issue that you fucking picked it. It's a volunteer-only force. You decided to be a cop. You're the one that takes that fucking risk. You don't say, okay, there's a 90% chance that this guy's not about to kill me, but if I shoot him, there's a 100% chance that a civilian's going to die, so how about I just shoot him because, shit, I'm not going to take that 10% risk. These are still citizens, and this is one of the costs of being in a free society. It seems like the vast majority of police officers are conservative, right? I have a number of police officers that I know constantly throwing a fit about Obama destroying the fucking Constitution, right? But here they are, where they have the powers of the Constitution, and they go violate citizens' constitutional rights. They've decided right there the Constitution wasn't a big enough deal for me to listen to. Why the fuck does Obama have to listen to it then? If you're going to stand up for your fucking politics as a police officer, you have the best chance to do it. You can protect people's constitutional rights, including from yourself. So fucking do it. That's my fucking tirade about that shit, man.
Right.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. All right, we're gonna.
It's kind of another point. Janice Brewer, I think. I'm hoping I'm getting her name right. She's the governor of Arizona, right? supposedly, and who knows what was really said, but she threw a fit with Obama when Obama came to town about he's destroying the Constitution and he's not upholding it because he's not doing enough to stop these goddamn illegals coming through here, right?
Right.
And how dare he ignore the Constitution? Except she supported that law that allowed the police officers to stop and break the Fourth Amendment of every Mexican in her fucking state. If you were a fucking Mexican, we're allowed to stop you and make sure that you're legal. That's violating the Fourth Amendment. She herself decided that the Constitution didn't fucking matter enough, so she gets to ignore it.
Except when it matters to her.
Why doesn't Obama get the same freedom? That's kind of my that's my point as the seemingly libertarian that I'm starting to become. You have to follow the Constitution. If you decide you're breaking it, you have no room to fucking talk about somebody else doing it.
But that's always been the problem with conservative mentality, as opposed to liberal mentality. It's never been the conservative mentality when followed to the letter can be understood. Who can't understand following the amendment to the letter? I get that. Even as a liberal-minded person, I completely understand that. The right to open carry, I get that. I got no qualms with that. Here's the problem. Whenever you look at all those open carry laws, I always see the same thing. A bunch of white people running around with guns.
Yep.
And I always go, that's odd. Why the fear? Because I don't see any other race doing that. And if ever a black person starts carrying a gun, then if they get shot by the cops, well, it's his fucking fault. Why is he walking around with a gun?
It's funny you say
I don't
that.
see that fucking problem.
It's funny you say that because I think it was the Black Panthers that did that. They walked into like a state building with a bunch of assault rifles, flipped the whole fucking city the fuck out.
I bet.
What they were doing was constitutionally protected. They were just fine.
Yeah, think about the black.
Laws got changed after the fact.
Yeah, and that's always been the problem with the conservative mentality, is there is an inherent hypocrisy every time the conservative mentality comes in, because it's always like, this is what I believe. Well, what about if this race does it or these people do it? Well, hold on a second. That's a little different. Like, no, it's not. There's no difference. That's all I want from the conservative mentality. It's apply those stats to everybody. Now, granted, I know a couple of friends that are great conservatives. In fact, one of the guys, we were supposed to have a guest today, but we had, again, technical difficulties, couldn't get him on. I've been trying the whole show. But he would have been a great counterpoint because he has a great perspective on how the conservative mentality should run. And he's one of the few conservatives I've met who's kind of like, no, this should be legal across the border for everybody. Like, he has a stance on immigration that I understand because it doesn't just stop at Mexicans. It's like, I feel this way about immigrations for everybody. Everybody should apply to this. If you're British, you should just be checked as much about your immigration as if you're Hispanic or black or whatever the heck. And I understand that. But in practice, the hypocrisy always sneaks in when it comes to the conservative mentality. That's always been my problem with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a difference between how it's written and how it works in fucking reality.
Yeah, every time.
In all honesty, most things with conservatism I agree with the actual conservative values, which is a far fucking cry from the conservative party right now.
Oh, not even close.
It's
even
not
the Tea Party is ridiculous.
It's not unknown. I've known, including my dad, a lot of conservatives, diehard fucking conservatives, leaving the party because it's full-time bullshit.
Yeah.
So that's why I hate when people attack conservatives.
Hey! Hey!
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. There's a fiesta outside my door. Then again, we're supposed to be done at 7, so I'm assuming they're assuming the party starts now.
Yeah, get some rubber bullets, man. I'll talk to Ferguson and get you a shipment of it.
Oh, are you kidding me? Finally!
I think we can let this show go on for a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Give him 10 minutes to talk, 2 minutes for me to destroy everything he says.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and just call our guest Charles. Nothing more, nothing less, for the sake of all the Charleses on planet Earth. Welcome to the show, sir.
What's up?
I'm sure you've been following most of this.
Most of it.
So, I'm not gonna interrupt you. Just go ahead. What's your opinion on this whole thing?
No. Hold on. You have all touched a point or two that I had. Even Alan's kind of, you know how he is. He sways back and forth. He makes his point, and then he destroys himself, and then he makes his point, and then he destroys everybody else.
I kind of have to do that. I'm the only one that can really debate with me here.
Hey! Whoa, son.
Fair enough.
What, you agree to that shit?
Hey, listen, motherfucker, I don't debate, okay? I disagree. It's not in my head, yes.
Go ahead, Charles.
No, I've been following. I kind of spent more time trying to figure out what's going on with my damn computer, so I kind of lost track a little bit.
All right, basically, the idea is that I mean you know about the stuff in Ferguson, obviously.
Absolutely.
Everybody is pretty much up at arms about it, and we've all had turns kind of demonizing them and kind of understanding them, because we get the whole, you know, police solidarity thing, but we think the way it was handled was terrible. So as a decent conservative, what's your opinion? Because all it's been is liberal vomit and libertarian vomit, as we heard.
Well, you know, I agree. They handled it a little shabby, shady. They probably should have been a little more clear about what was going on. However, and me and Alan already kind of had this out a little bit. You don't know if they had a valid reason for pulling that kid over, talking to him. Maybe, I mean, look, the convenience store. They had a description of a cat that matched the cat. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, come over here. Look, you cop an attitude. You're already making it a hostile situation. I grew up where a cop talked to you, you turn around, you gave him respect. You know, you didn't give an attitude unless it was warranted. Just talking to you or asking you questions, not a reason to give attitude and cause a situation to be bigger than what it should have been.
Yeah.
Now, that's a point, and I think Alone in the Dark made kind of an addendum to it by saying. Ultimately, I think, and that's kind of the problem with situations like this. You never know. You never know exactly what happens.
And what I told Alan in that message was it could be a 200-pound, 5'10" white man dressed like me. It could be a, what are you, 6 foot there, Dave? 5'10", 5'11"?
You'll take it.
Yeah,
he's like
240 pounds, right? You know, it could be you with a guy with a mohawk. You know, shit, you probably shave off your head. It could be a Middle Eastern man, look like Alan, dressed all in black. Maybe he's riding a Ducati. Maybe he's driving a Tundra. But the description that he pulled over might match you. You may never know. But he had a reason for pulling you over. He might have had a valid reason for pulling you over.
I would like to say I'm an eggshell white.
Whatever.
But you're the whitest Middle Eastern man I know. It's cool.
Sure the hell is. But it's ultimately, we can all agree on the fact that from the moment the incident happened to now, Ferguson has handled it the worst possible way.
Absolutely.
Now, where we
Absolutely.
slightly deviate is on how we perceive how the incident happened. Now, I lean a little more with Alan in this department because he kind of made the point, which is the point that is echoed out of every black person out of Ferguson, which was, this isn't a new thing. They've been fucking with us for years and years and years. This was just another one of those. And I can understand, if you're getting fucked with constantly, over and over and over again, and you see people you know getting fucked with constantly over and over and over again, you distrust the cops. If a cop comes to you, it's kind of in your best interest to go, wait, well, why? Why are you checking me? Why is this going? Are you just stereotyping me? Is this just a race thing? Or what's going on? I have a great example for you today, actually, literally today. Me and my wife went to Chipotle. We had a fantastic lunch, and we're about to leave when a guy walks up to my wife and tells her, you didn't pay for that, which she had paid for. Nobody else in line before or after did that guy mess with, just my wife, and she had paid for the item. So to us, my reaction, being me, is, well, this is an easy solution. I show him the receipt, I smile, and I leave, which is what you would react like, right, Charles?
Absolutely.
And I get that. Her reaction, which I thought was unwarranted, but I understood, was to get offended. and I get the offense.
Well, she's probably been banned from there from stealing before.
Never. That was like our first time ever going to that damn food.
She is Mexican. I mean, come on. Use a better example of that. Come on.
But no, but literally, that's the point. Literally, that's the point.
It's practically for free.
Literally, that was the point. Because I told her if it had been me, I'd have made it comical. I'd have turned around and I'd have gone, "You're right. I'm a Mexican who came to a Chipotle to steal food." Yeah, that's what me as a Mexican would do instead of going anywhere else. But her reaction, I understood her reaction because it was one of those things where the person before us did the same thing we did. The person after us did the same thing we did. You have clearly been watching us for a while for you to come straight to us. And it wasn't the dude that apologized, by the way. After he said she stole, he walked away and someone else came up and apologized, which was the perfect way to handle it because my wife was in no mood to deal with that same fucker. But that moment showed the major difference in mentality between people like you, me, and Charles and Alan, who have clearly dealt with authority and kind of have an idea about the law. We know you don't need to freak out or go on the offensive. But on the flip side, someone like my wife, who's a little more
crazy,
culturally biased, I'll say, she took that as a slap in the face because it was like, you didn't do that to the guy in front of me, you didn't do that to the guy after me, and I clearly paid. Why did you single me out? That's her question. Her question at the end of the day is, why were you looking at me, and why did you feel I was the one of all the white people before and after me who didn't pay, even though I did?
Now, here, in all honesty,
also,
real quick, before I forget,
before you go at it, real quick, let me throw this in there too. By the way, all of our reactions would have had the situation resolved easily. Her reaction did get her 2 free meals at Chipotle, so
then there you go.
You wanted to throw that out there.
So, all right, well, you don't already maybe forget half of it, but what it comes down to is the only way to change the perception of stereotypes and attitudes is to change it, not to embrace it and act like you should provoke that cop. You know what? You're right. What do you need? Why'd you stop me? Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's not me. And leave it at that. But no, that's not where it goes. That's not where it goes. It gets worse. Things blow up. Shit happens, and and then we end up where we're at right now.
My issue with that mentality is, it is not really a citizen's job to make sure a cop is feeling okay.
All right, but it is a citizen's job not to be civilly disobedient, which a cop can use in almost anything. So
yeah, well, he can't really get it to stick though. I mean, it
doesn't matter. But that day you're going to jail.
Oh well, that day you could also go back and sue him. That dude just
you can't sue him. You can't sue him for doing his job. Now, if he did it, if he beat you, yeah. But if he just arrested because you're being civilly disobedient, yeah, he can't arrest you for that. I mean, there's nothing says he can't.
Some dude's got $150,000 arguing that might be incorrect, man. But the issue is here's what we're talking about: is a cop has now suddenly permission to violate someone's constitutional rights because he got his feelings hurt.
Maybe not.
That civilian doesn't have a duty to the citizens like that cop does. That citizen didn't make a promise to the citizens like that cop does. So I don't feel bad about holding that cop to a higher standard than some random fucking citizen on the street. Do I think that person's being an asshole? I do. But do I think that cop has any more right than a fucking Walgreens clerk does about somebody being an asshole to them to suddenly throw someone in jail? No, I don't. You don't get extra rights. You don't get to freaking violate people's constitutional rights because you got your feelings hurt.
I'll say this.
So is that not what's happening with the news and Obama and him controlling the media and all that? I mean,
I agree.
Charles, hold on a second, guys.
You're right though. No, I just like Obama. Shut the fuck up, Dave. Nobody.
I'm just trying to 1 second so that you guys can hear each other, for God's sakes.
But that's kind of my issue because I hear a lot of cops hate Obama. I agree. I fucking dislike the guy passionately myself. But him, did anybody see that video of that cop saying, The guy was complaining, "You're violating my constitutional rights, my right to be here." And the cop said, "Well, Obama doesn't care about your constitutional rights, so we don't have to."
I didn't see that video.
Now, supposedly that cop is getting punished. That video went viral. His fucking boss got it. So the boss came out talking pretty hard that was a bunch of bullshit, and he's going to set it straight. I never heard the resolution of it.
Hey,
but
it's all because DOJ got bent out of shape. It's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of my issue is just because Obama's violating the Constitution doesn't mean I'm going to go out and violate people's constitutional rights.
Point taken.
So that's my point. I'm going to be the better one. I'm going to protect people's rights the best I can. Police, for the most part, from what I've seen, about 90% of the police I know are conservative. And just about all of them hate Obama. I'm with you there. I fucking hate him too. But then they go out and like the whole phone thing. Everybody heard about the phone thing where they were pissed because they wanted to be able to search through everybody's phone that they pulled over.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And they ended up they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court blocked it, and they were throwing a fit. It's like, you don't need to search through my financial, my fucking plenty of fish messages, all that shit, just because I'm getting.
I gotta use plenty of fish, yo.
Hey man, I like fat chicks.
Hey, look out. When it comes to being the better person, that also applies to not being disrespectful and belligerent every chance you get, just because you feel it's your right to do that.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what I'm gonna do, so I don't get my ass beat by a cop. But
you'll be that guy
you're
too.
in such danger.
Being a local black, I can tell you that being polite to cops sometimes doesn't always work. Has it worked for me often?
And I can't say that I've experienced that, so you're absolutely right.
I was just about to tell Charles. Here's the thing, Charles. I agree with you, and we on this panel are obviously going to act that way because we know better. But
hey,
here's what I will
cops
say.
are my friends. I'm white, man. Leave me alone.
Here's what I will say in defense of people that are a little ruder. If you do it your way, which is the proper and the right way, sometimes it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
As opposed to shake some shit up, see what happens, and then pick up the piece and see if you can make him faster.
And sometimes it doesn't give a
feel like it works faster. I don't.
Sometimes it doesn't even fucking matter how nice you are. You probably don't get a foot put in your ass. More than likely. Sometimes
it's true.
I mean, have I had any bad experience with cops? One time. As polite as I can be, he fucking just yelled at my ass for fucking nothing, for absolutely nothing.
I got my ass beat by cops 2 times, and both times I fucking deserve it. I deserve it. And the result was...
You are not making your argument, I promise you.
They beat the shit out of me and didn't give me any paperwork. I was a kid at the time. I didn't go... Well, I went to jail, but I didn't go to any courts. I didn't do it. I just got the living shit beat out of me and sent back home to my mom, who continued beating the shit out of me.
Which now is way better than you having a felony for assaulting a police officer.
Exactly. So I can't complain, you know.
Hilariously, I've never had a bad interaction. Even the worst interaction I had with a cop was a good interaction. Never had a bad interaction.
When you tried to, you got your ass kicked that day. When you tried to fucking stand to that big ass, buff ass Brock Lesnar of a cop.
Oh yeah, no, but here's why. The difference with that shit is, as I said, that's one of my bad experiences. I played the market on that one. I had the Benz back then, so I figured he'd bet that I was lawyered up. And it worked, because he didn't kick my ass, which he completely should have normally. The neighborhood and the way I was acting warranted it.
Oh yeah, he would have fucking choked your ass out or something.
Silver BMWs, silver Mercedes-Benz, man. When in doubt, look classy. They'll leave you alone.
Yeah, but I agree with Charles. I mean, you know, sometimes when you are polite to police, every interaction with the police doesn't have to be, you know, what the fuck you pulling me over for? Because I know if I was a fucking cop, and the first thing comes to your mouth is what the fuck I'm pulling you over for, I'd be like, well, I'm pulling you over for this shit. You know, most of the time, it is nice to fucking talk, and like I said, and then again, that goes with what Alona Duck was saying. Sometimes you're being fucking nice because you want to fucking be like, hey, what the fuck you pulling? I'm fucking late for something. You want to be like that, but you don't want to get your ass kicked. So...
Well, I don't remember who told me this, but I remember hearing it from somebody. Cops are people too. You're gonna catch a cop on a bad day. I mean, fuck. Granted, like Alona Dark says, hold them to a higher standard and all of that. But
at the end of the day, it's still a job. You know.
Yeah, his wife just filed him divorce papers. His kids shit all over his uniform boots. He had to repolish that shit. He got to work late, and the boss had his ass. Then he walks up to you on the street, and you're like, what? He's a person. He might just decide to, you know, use or abuse his power just a little bit. If I drove the Metro bus, I'd never pay for the Metro. If I was...
Hey, check it out. All right. If I was a cop and I came up on somebody and they copped a little attitude, all right, maybe that guy's having a bad day. But the minute it goes a little bit past that, I pulled you over for this. But now I'm pulling you over for this, and this. Tough shit. I totally could have let you off with a warning had we not got to that point. But we got to that point.
Yeah, and some motherfuckers have a tendency of getting out their cars too when cops pull them over. Please, people.
Bad move.
Yeah, oh my God.
Stay in your fucking
I've seen that happen before. It's so dumb.
Because they teach you as a police officer that pretty much anybody you come in contact with, it's kind of, I mean, it's a little fucked up the way you do it, but anybody you come in contact with is a suspect before you know proven otherwise. You don't fucking know what they have. Because some people out here, and you know, they have the fucking roll calls before they go out. And like, listen, this cop just got shot in the fucking face for pulling over a car for no reason. He just came to the car and shot him in the face. So as a cop, when I hear that shit, I come to the car, I have my fucking hand on my gun. Hey, sir, you know why I pulled you over? So you know, you can never take it too personally when cops is very careful and have their hand on their gun. You never take it personally because
In all honesty, whenever I'm dealing with a cop, I am freaking polite and try and make the transaction as easy as possible. But as I was thinking about it while I was waiting to talk, I'm like that with anybody who's working. Okay, if I'm dealing with a waitress, if I'm fucking getting something to eat, I'm polite to the waitress. If she fucks up my order, shit, I understand, because I don't know how the fuck you guys keep up with this shit anyways. When I was at work, if I went to one of my employees and they came to talk to me and they saw I didn't have my notepad to write shit down, they didn't fucking talk to me. They waited until I got my notepad because they knew I wasn't going to remember that shit, you know? So I don't fuck with anybody that's working, including cops, okay? But it is still my opinion that even if somebody fucks with the cop, if that cop attacks them or wrongfully charges them, something like that, that cop needs to be treated just like me if I attack someone because somebody hurt my feelings.
It should be consequences to it. And I think when they start handing out consequences, you might actually see a fucking difference. That's the reason, now these cops are actually getting caught on camera with the smartphone technology and shit, but no consequences is coming their way. They're like, if I got away with it once, I can fucking get with it. One
of our viewers sent us a thing saying where body cameras have been implemented with police forces, complaints have gone down tenfold.
Yeah, it's like 80-some% or something up in North California.
Another funny thing is not only were cops with cameras on attacking people less, but people were attacking them less by a whole lot, which kind of makes you wonder: are people really not attacking them because they see a camera?
No, I'm sure people attack them more when they feel there's no camera around. I'm sure.
Okay, I wonder about that, or I wonder if maybe that shit was being misreported, and somebody who got their ass beat said that they attacked them. You know what I mean? Like, how much does that play into it? How much was if the cop's word's going to go first when there was no evidence, and he said, yeah, this guy attacked me, that's why he took a nightstick up his ass fucking 600 times. Really attack him, or what fucking happened,
I don't know what the smooth jazz was for, but...
And listen, and like I said, and me, smooth jazz. Like I said, and me trying to get into the police force, I am absolutely for, putting a camera on every police officer. Because if you're doing your fucking job right, you have nothing to fear.
Oh, God, I could have sworn you were going to say putting a nightstick up someone's ass.
No. But if you fucking attack me, I probably will put a nightstick up your ass. But I'm saying that I absolutely am for putting a camera on every single police officer. I think
that to myself, just because you never know what the fuck's going to happen, man. I mean, you don't know if some bitch is going to say I just grabbed her titty.
Are we talking about a camera on you or a nightstick in the ass?
Both, really.
I do my own measures, my own business. But I'm talking about a camera right now.
His marriage is still thriving and youthful. They've had to experience.
When I was in the Marine Corps, that shit came up because I had a female subordinate for a while. Just one female subordinate who sometimes I'd be alone with in the armory. Now, she was a pretty cool chick, but I did get wonder, shit, if this girl just goes and says, you know what, that fucker raped me about 15 minutes ago, I'm fucked. I mean, there's no getting out of that shit. You know, there's no proof. Nobody's gonna fucking believe me. I mean, that's just it. So that kind of made me wonder. It would be nice to have a fucking always on camera or always on microphone recording my day and then just delete it at the end of the day. Fucking nothing happened. Get rid of that shit. But if I was a cop, I would definitely have to protect myself. I don't want to get sued by some bullshit. I don't want to arrest some chick and she runs around telling people I felt her up while I was cuffing her. Let me get a camera on myself to protect my own damn self.
And usually the cops who complain about it most of the time are the cops that are doing the most, or are doing, you know, the most at the time. You know, usually some cops, and you have a lot of police officers like, hey, I'm all for it, but you have some cops like, I don't see why. It doesn't. It's not necessary. You know.
Fuck that.
The cops that are putting the nice sticks up people's asses. You know, we've talked about a lot of nice sticks in asses lately. I wonder where the fuck is this show was turned into. Jesus. But I think that's...
Wrap this shit up. I think we fucking play that.
Yeah, I know. What the fuck are you doing, host? Goddamn.
No, we're wrapping it up. All right, I'll go ahead and start doing those parting shots. So, Charles, at the very end of every show, we do a quick parting shot where everybody gets to throw a little piece out before we wrap the segment up. I'll start with Alone in the Dark, Alan. Go ahead.
I'm going to do the same one I did last time. Remind all police officers watching the show that I am white, and I donate to the police fucking ball, and you don't need to whip my ass. At least whip these fucking black folks' ass first so I know.
Charles, you got any parting shots?
I don't have to say anything. I am white.
God damn. Yeah, there's no race issue in America. That's for goddamn sure.
Charlie takes that shit to another level. His family looks like something from the 50s right there, man. Back when looking for some black chick to help behind them, you know.
Hey. Don't mock the help, man. Don't mock the help.
Oh, I would say too soon, but it's really not. Co-conscience?
Well, I'm not white, but I'm going to be one of you guys soon, so don't whip my ass.
Face first, yeah.
Right, so technically I will be white. In my eyes.
Already
white enough as it is. This is a burn.
What's the Constitution in Cameroon, Dave? Tell us that shit, huh?
I ain't telling you a goddamn thing, my man. I am an immigrant who has the greatest respect for American law. I love America.
That was the best fucking... How the fuck do you have a terrible accent and you're from Cameroon? Was that a Cameroon accent you tried to put on?
That was a Cameroon accent.
Jesus Christ, that was terrible. You're fucking from the country, though.
I can't tell if it was good or not. The only thing I've ever heard him say is, "Give me your car! Give me your wallet!"
And that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. I guess, see you fuckers next week. Got some cops to call. You guys, take care, America. See you next week.
We didn't say who we were. Shit, goddamn.
No, well, sure. Shoot. Go ahead. Tell them who you are there, egomaniac.
I don't care.
That's co-con.
Fair enough.
Where you out of these days, co-conscience?
Neverland.
Oh. Soon to be Guantanamo Bay. This is Alone in the Dark in beautiful Colorado. I'll take it from here.
Charles, where are you out of?
Oh, man, I can't tell you that shit.
That's secret. Exactly perfect response. That's what I was hoping.
Top secret.
I'm in Ferguson.
On the behalf of Slow Chemical,
with the lubed up nightstick.
Probably why we can't see him on camera. He's just sitting there KYing that bitch up. Another sad night for some minority.
That's the
host, Jonathan Esther. See you guys next week, man.